All right, good morning, everybody. Mute is off. All right. Today is Daf Ayin Gimel on the Daled. We'll see if we can get to Ayin Hey, see what we can do. So 2 lines from the bottom, Ayin Beis and Beis. So Itamar, Kichal tonight, the Kantastam. We're actually going to be discussing this machlekes for the next Amud or next block. So one is Makadesh, a woman al tonight, a Kiddush, and let's say that she doesn't have any sort of Nadarim on her. The Kansastam, and then when he marries her, there's no mention at all of this condition, and it turns out she has nadarim. Rav says the kedushin is, in other words, the marriage is chal, and therefore, if he wants to go ahead and leave, he has to give her a get. The Shmuel Amar ain't tzricha get. You do not need a get. So let's see, what is this machlekes here? Why does Rav say the marriage works? Shmuel says it doesn't work. So Amar Abaye says Abaye, top of Ayin Gimel with Aleph. So, you heard the this or no?
No, just tell me where to start.
Ayin Beis with Beis, 2 lines from the bottom. Marries her on condition, and then he is Mekadesh her on condition. No Nadarim, she has Nadarim, and then he marries her stam without mentioning it. So Rav says marriage works, and Shmuel says doesn't. So Amar Abaye, like Tema, Tami the Rav, the Kevin Shekansastam, Achule, after the tonight. Don't say that when Rav says then he gets married. In other words, he was basically changed his mind, and it was Michael on any sort of nether, and he was Michael on his condition. El Tami the Rav, the fish ain't Adam Isa Bilasa Bilasnus. That he doesn't make his bila, his relations with her Bilasnus, and therefore that which he's kinsa her, that which he marries her basically in mind to go ahead and marry her. That's bias kedushin, and that's all together. And therefore, he's marrying her through that. It's like a new, right? It's like a new kinyan, not the original kedushin, which was al tanai. Rather now, since he's going ahead and have bia with her, so he's mekadesh her basically through the bia. So Gemara says, what are you talking about? Hopefully, b'chazina is already in this like a state. Mark tana shaloi miana the diva. Iktana that was married off, let's say by her, she did not do miyun. She's married off by her mother, her brother, the dila, and then she became a gdela. Then she got up, and despite the fact she was living with her husband, who she was married off to, and then she went ahead and married somebody else. Rav, yeah, that'll be great. Thank you so much. 8 ounce, awesome. So Rav Omar ain't tzricha a get. Rav says you don't need a get because to the second guy. Why? Because she was married to the first guy, Misheni. Shmuel Amar tzricha get Misheni. No, you need to get for the second guy because perhaps now, even though she was living with the first guy for many years, let's say until she was 14, 15 years old, and then she got this other guy, she needs to get from him. So what's the machlokes there? Rav over there says why? Because when she's continuously living with her original husband at the age of 12. Then she hasn't. Then when he is boil her, he's boil her the shem kedushin. He doesn't want this kedushin to be bilas nus. Therefore, it's a valid marriage. Therefore, comes along man number 2. That's nothing. He's not mekadesh. She's completely married with the first guy. So adit marbahai bai kamarav mishum lekatanat. In that case, in other words, there's no condition, and we see that the guy was never mocked on anything, and therefore that when she sleeps with her, right, when she's 12 years old, that's with the kedushin. Babaha dika tonight, but over here was it tonight? Ema might be the shmuel. Maybe there's a shmuel that since there was a condition in place, he once mentioned that he's mocked, but that there's no nadarim. Therefore, in this case, that he would not be boiler or l'shem kedushin, if there's tonight. If it was just that case, in that case, did Shmuel say that they're not married, that they wasn't married about the Haf? But in the other case, maybe he would agree with Rav that since that he was boil her in that case. So therefore, he said that since there was a condition in place and he slept with her, nevertheless, right? Therefore, he would say that he would agree that he did it l'shem kedusha. So therefore, we need both cases. So that is the machlekes according to Abaye. We're gonna have a couple of different interpretations of the machlekes between Rav and Shmuel. So basically, Abaye says Rav's svara is that a person will not make his be'ilah bilas thus. Tanat So let's look at the Mishnah. Our Mishnah, Consistam, our Mishnah says he marries her stam, and it turns out she has Nadar. He married her stam, and turns out she has Nadara. So then she leaves without Shalom Biksuba. So Ksuba boy, Hagita boy. So she doesn't get any money when she goes out. It sounds like, but she does get a get. So my love, Kichal Tanai, becomes a stam. Is this not referring to a case? Is our Mishnah not referring to a case where he's Makadish on a condition, and then it becomes a stam? Thank you very much. It becomes a stam, and nevertheless he has to go ahead and divorce her. So you see, basically over here that the bila was l'shem kedushin, and now because nus, and to the Shmuel, the Kash and Shmuel, because Shmuel says that's ain't b'kedushin at all. Whereas it says, no, Kicha stam becomes a stam. Now we're talking about a case, our Mishnah is not a continuation of the Reisha, right? Of where basically he made a condition, because if you look at our Mishnah, I can locate the Mishnah. Mishnah says, and I base on the base, it says, right? So then it goes that case, and then it goes on, and then it says, Kansastam is the next line. So it's not one case, it's actually two completely separate cases. Kasha it was one case, it was a continuation of Kicha Stam. We're saying, no. Right? We're talking about a case of the concept, they were saying, no. So Kicha Stam because of Stam. About Kicha al time because of Stam. So Hakinami Delay by Gita. Are you going to say that that in a case, according to, right, basically asking Shmuel, that if he was Makadisher, right? If he was Makadish al tonight, and then he came back and he married her stam, you don't need to get in that case. Only in our case, when there was an original case, original conclusion of tonight. So at the time Makadish the Isha Manash Nadarim, Benim Nadarim, Ain Mikadeshes. Why do you say the case of he's Makadisher al tonight that there's no Nadarim? Turns out there's Nadarim just Ain Mikadeshes. Lisni, even more. Kansastam, Benim Nadarim, Ain Mikadeshes, because Shekain, So, and now, if you would go ahead and marry her, you marry Kansastam, and then it turns out she's the Dharam, Ein Bukadeshes, and certainly in this case. So, Gemara says, no. This means to say, even in that case, Hamakadish is the Isha al Manash Ein Allah Nadarim, if he's Makadish a woman on the condition that she has no Nadarim. The Kansastam, and then furthermore, he goes weiter and he goes ahead and he marries her stam without mentioning the condition at all. Turns out she has Nadarim, Ein Mukadeshes. Right? Then she is not married at all. Kachastam, the Kansastam, Taitse Shlobik Suba, right? And then, so in this case, so if he's Kachastam and then he marries her stam, then Taitse Shlobik Suba, right? So then in that case, he would have to go ahead and he would be required to divorce her. No, she's not considered to be married. So ksuba hu delay boy, agita boy, right? So it turns out that the ksuba is not needed, but he would need to go ahead and divorce her. Umayshna ksuba delay boy, right? What's the reason why ksuba he doesn't not require to pay her? Damar yefshibishin in juris, because he could say, I don't want a woman who has nadara. Ihachi get namiloti boy, right? So if so in that case, she should also require a get. And he goes, why? When I was right, so in that case, he's not required to pay her. So if he's not required to pay, he didn't want to marry her, and therefore that's the reason why he doesn't give her money. So then maybe the kedushin wasn't chal at all. So Rabba tzricha get midivrei. So Rabba gives a different shot. He says, no, really the get is needed midivrei. Rav Chisa tzricha get midivrei. Now midrabanan are really midoraisa. Because people might get confused if she walks away and there is no marriage here. So people might get confused that a woman can be divorced without a get. So therefore, midivrei, you have to go ahead and give her a get. And Rav Omar tonight, it's actually a suffix. Gabi Mamoina, when it comes to money, lakula, right? So lakula, therefore we say, you know what? She goes out and he doesn't have to give her ksuba. She can't be mitzi mamon from him. However, Gabi Isura lechumra. But when it comes to Isurim, then we say it is lechumra. So therefore, our Mishnah is not necessarily a kasha on Shmuel, according to Abayi's interpretation. And Abai will stick to this in the case of bilas or bilas nus, even in the case of kansastam, and whether or not it follows mekadesh al tonight. And then Rava gives a different teres. And Omer Rabba machlekes b'tois shtei nashim. About b'tois ish achas divrei hakol ein tzricha heimen again. All right. So now comes Rabba. This is going to be something we're going to discuss for the next, Amud. So Rabba says the machlekes. All right. This is the havmin of what Rabba is saying. Is with two women. In other words, he's mekadesh woman A, and he says al tanai, and then tonight you don't have any nadar. It turns out she has nadar, and then he's mekadesh another woman, also al tanai. Oh, excuse me. Then he's mekadesh another woman, but does not mention this condition of nadar, and it turns out she has nadar. So the question is, right? When he was Mekadesh woman B, did he also have in mind that she shouldn't have Nadarm, and she had Nadarm, and therefore is not married? So in this case, says Rav Machlekes, even in that case, Rav says the Kedushin works, right? Rav, in other words, he had he never really mentioned the second, he didn't mention the condition of the second one, therefore that marriage is good. And Shmuel says, no, that since we see he is Hakpada by Nadarim, therefore, it's according to Shmuel, it's Einu Mikudeshes, right? And therefore, Ein Tzricha Men again. About Aval, B'tos Ishachas, Divrei Hakol Ein Tzricha Men again. But let's say he marries the same woman, right? The standard case, right? He's Mekadesh al Tanai, that she has no Nadar, and she has Nadar, and then he marries her. You don't need a get at all. Why? Because he made a condition, and therefore she's not married. And you weren't supposed to have Nadar, and she has Nadar. So Omar Abaye, so says Abaye, what's that? If it's the same woman as Noah's Mekadesh al Tanai b'kansastam, we say on the case of Tosisha Achasi, b'kosina tiyufta minay, and then we ask the kashas in it. You can't say Kuli Alma holds the case of Mekadesh Stam, right? And then he marries her, right? That he completely that they're not Mekudeshes, because we see in our Mishnah that even in that case, we say the Ksuba you don't need, but the get you do need. So Ella Itamar Hachi Itamar. Amar Rabba Machlekes B'tos Isha Achas Ke'ein Shtei Nashim. What does that mean? Yeah. He right. So he's he marries one woman like two women. In other words, he marries one woman. He's Mekadesh her al Tanai. That no Nadarim. And then he gives her a get. And then he's re-Mekadesh that woman and remarries that woman without mentioning the Tanai. So in that case, do we say the second time he's Mekadesh her, right? It's going along with the original Tanai from his first Kedushin with her? Mm-hmm. Or do we say that the second time around, he didn't make the condition, and therefore he doesn't care anymore? But if it's the same woman, right? He gives Mekadesh al Tanai, right? And then he's Kansastam, then everyone agrees does not need to get, because there was a condition and the condition was in place and she did not fill the condition. So it
doesn't count as a marriage to start with?
So that according to this case, if it was the same woman the whole time, since there was a condition in place, and even though he was Kansastam, nevertheless, he made a condition, the condition wasn't fulfilled, the condition doesn't work.
Yeah, it was a different marriage.
There's no condition.
That was the same marriage. It was the same.
It's the second marriage.
This is the first marriage. He's only Mekadesh her al Tanai, and then he was Kansastam. So since it's the same woman, and there is no new Kedushin, right? We don't say the Svar according to Rabbah of Ein Adam Isa Bilas Bilas Nus, right? And therefore he was Mekadesh, he was Kansa with still the original condition in place, and therefore it's nothing, according to Rabbah. Esvei Abaye Kicha Betos. A person is Mekadesh Betos. Kicha Betos. All right, we'll have to see what that is. All right. So Kicha Betos, Upachas Mishava Pruta. Right. So he
Or, right?
Right. or Pachmashav Pruta, right? Now the Rashi even points out, right? We don't know what Tos is. This, Rashi says Tos Nadarim Kafar Shabbat, right? And that was the mistake. We're going to explain the case of Tos. In other words, he says like basically a condition you don't have Nadarim. It turns out she has Nadarim, so that's basically a mistake in Kedushin because she doesn't have Nadarim because she has Nadarim in place. Upaka is Misheva Pruta, or if he marries her with something less than the value of Pruta, V'chein Katan Shekidesh. So too a katan, right? Who goes ahead and marries a woman, right? That even though he said the begins la'achar mikan ain't mekudeshes. Shemachmas kedushin harishonim shalach. V'imbalu kanu. So all these cases ain't mekudeshes because Pachmashav doesn't work, and the katan cannot be kaina. And the case of Nadarim, also none of these work. The Imbalu Kanu. But according to this, if he is Baal her, acquires her, right? So what do you see? This is different. Rabbah said, it was Rabbah, not Rabbah, right? Rabbah, right?
Rabbah.
Yeah, it's Rabbah. So Rabbah said, remember, Divrei HaKol, in the regular case of Kicha B'Tanai, the Kansa Stai, everyone agrees it's nothing. Over here, it seems to say if he's Bailer, Stam, Lachara is Kanu. Rashim ben Yehuda, Mishim Rabbi Shmuel Amar, In Balu Lo Kanu. And he argues, Rabbi Shmuel argues in this case. Huh? Over here, when when he marries her afterwards, the In Balu, right? Balu is equivalent to Kansa Stam, right? Now, Isha Achasi. This is similar to the case we want to explain before of Isha Achas, which was the Kaddish B'Tnai, the Kansastam, Upligi, and there's a Machlekes. You just said Rabba Kuliano holds that in Mekudeshes, and over here it seems to see that there's a Machlekes. So my lab Tos Nadarim is not Tos Nadarim. In other words, a case like we want to set up. No, it's not that. Tos Pachas M'Shev Pruta. No, it's the mistake of Parashat Pruta. So Parashat Pruta, that's said that was the second case. It was two cases or three cases, right? Tos Ishach. It was Tos, and then Parashat Pruta. It says Kicha B'Tos and Parashat Pruta. So our answer is Parushika B'Farish. No, it's explaining what is Kiddush Tos. That is, he's using less than a Pruta. So Kicha B'Tos Ketza. So then what's the case? Kicha Pachmashav Pruta. So okay, so what's the case? Kicha B'Tos is, in other words, when he's Mekadosh Pachmashav Pruta. My kamifli. What's the machlekes? Mar Sabar Adam Yedeya Shein Kedushin Types in Pachmashav Pruta. One says everyone knows that Kedushin is not type-based with something less than the value of a Pruta. They Gamar Ubal Shein Kedushin. Therefore, when he's bail her, he knows full well that his original kedushin did not work, and that which he's being bail her right now is the shame kedushin and the shame nesuin for marriage. You go bail. I died to the kedushin. Excuse me, the kedushin. But Mar Saber and Adam Yedei kedushin types in the Pachas Shaputa. That one holds that no, it's not a common knowledge that people know that the Pachas Shaputa does not work. And therefore, when he's being boiler, the kedushin arishayin bal, right? He's doing it basically on continuation of the original kedushin. But if the original kedushin didn't work because it's part of Hashem Pruta, so therefore that's Einim Mekudeshes, and that's the machlekes between Rav Shimon ben Yehuda, Mishum Rav Yishmael, and the Tanakh. However, Abai is still not happy that he didn't shlug up Rabbah. Haredi Bailech Almanas Sheyirtze Abba. I will be, bail you for kedushin on the condition that my father wants. Of Mikudeshes. Even though it turns out he comes back to his father, says, "Dad, good news, I'm married." It was the wife, Nancy. Oh, hate her. Nevertheless, Mikudeshes. Shimon Yehuda Imer Mishum Rabbi Shimon. Over there, yes, only if the father agreed to it, but the father disapproved of it later on, right, when he found out about it, then it's Einim Mekudeshes. Isha Achas Dami. Over here, it's some of the case of Isha Achas, right? similar to the case of Nadarim. In other words, the condition that you didn't have Nadarim and you did. Over here, the condition my father wanted and you did not. And nevertheless, so please machlekes. So Gemara answers no. Hasabakam if over there's the machlekes. Marsa Ramanashi Yitzaav Amanashi Yishtakav Hashasi. There was that which the father disapproved. It wasn't a case where he says, "No, why'd you marry her?" He was quiet, right? So one said that if on the condition that my father is quiet, if I marry you, in other words, he doesn't make a loud macha, right? He's not, he's not verbally opposed to it. But he's quiet, and therefore, since he's quiet, he didn't say not a good idea. So therefore, make it ashes. But my son, I'm not sure. Abi, hey, right? The other one's a condition. The father says, "Yes, good job." The hey, and he didn't say it. And the father didn't say it, and therefore, that's the reason why that the machlokes is. The machlokes over there was the approval of the father meant either he had a verbal approval or was it that he's going to make a verbal disapproval. So not a kash. Eisvei maidim chachan Rabbi Eliezer b'ktana sheisia aviha. So what about this case? The chachamim were maida to Rabbi Eliezer in the case of a ketana whose father married her off. Then he's garsha. So he divorced her. Now, once she gets divorced, she was married with the rice. The father let him go ahead and marry off his daughter was a katana. And when she gets divorced, so she does not go back to her father's house. Then his garsha. He and such a girl is considered to be a yisayim mechayav. V'chzira. And then he goes ahead and he takes her, then he remarries her, right? Then he marries her. And then now he dies and he has brothers. Shechaletzes v'loy misivemes. They're over there. She does chalitza and naiv. Mipnei. Shegirsha gerushin gemurim ve'ein hachzarasa chazara gemur. So she'd only do chalitza when she gets remarried, because remember she's only katana, not a gedola. But she can't do yibum because that which she was divorced from her marriage deraisa from her father, that was a legit deraisa divorce. She's divorced, and that which he took her back in marriage, derabanan, right? We allow her to get married because she's basically considered to be an orphan. So we allow her to marry herself off on a derabanan level. So therefore, only do chalitza to the husband's brother, and you can't do yibum because she was not married at the deraisa level the second time. Yeah.
A man is allowed to remarry his woman divorced, right? That's not a divorce.
That's not a question here. No. The issue is she's a katana.
Oh, because she's
a katana, so she can't, right, and her father can't marry her off anymore. Right, exactly. Right. So therefore, right. So since her marriage is only quasi at this time, so we'll say that she's chalitza.
Isra achos isha for the brother.
Right.
Right.
We're still applying. Right. Now, we're talking about when she was divorced and she was 10, and then he took her back, when she was 10 and a half. Aval girshak shiktana, but if he divorced her when she was 10, she daila, and then he took her back when she was 13. Or even when he took her back when she was 10 and a half, but then he remained living her for several years. The gadla eslo, umes, and dies. Does chalitza or yibu, right? And the shum, Rabbi Eliezer, right? Amru, chalitza v'lo misevemes. The neighbor Eliezer, they say no, she still does chalitza and not yibu, right? Even in this case. So. And then Rashi points out that the reason over here is a gzeira, right? In this case, because of even as if he would die before she became a gedolah. But nevertheless, if she would go ahead and continue living with him, according to the Tanakama, right? So then she would be able to perform yibum. Over here, it seems to be a similar case. You have kedushin, which is not so stark, right? That was over here. Our case, 1 second. Our original case that we're asking on, it was a case of he was Makadisher on the condition she has no Nadarim, and now she has Nadarim, and then he marries her. So Abaye wanted to say when he marries her, he does it. It's now l'shem. When he's comes to stop, he says it's l'shem kedushin. We're married. So too over here, if he's Mekadesh her when she's only 10 years old, and then he lives with her the next 5 years. So when he's bail her, when she's over the age of 12 and a half, or 12, she's a Gedalah, right? He has in mind a new kedushin. He's not being saimech. He's not relying upon the kedushin of when she was 10 and a half. It's like a new kedushin. And if a new kedushin with a woman who you had a bad kedushin with originally, but then you continue to live with her, you're now making the kedushin a full marriage. So we're answering.
That's not calling it a bad kedushin.
Oh, a Darabanan kedushin. Well,
It was a gerua.
a gurua, right? Gurua means right. Actually, like a worse,
It's a really
yeah, a lesser kedushin. Fine. All right. I stand corrected. Correct. Now, so over here, but what do you see over here? According to Rab, that there's still machlokas. You said Kuli Alma agrees that it's nothing, but over here we see that the guy continues to live with her once she becomes a Gedalah, even though he dies 2 years later. But the kedushin is now deraisa to one of the shitas, even to the point that she can outdo yibum with the brother and override the deraisa. One knows that, but no, that he knows that the kedushin with the katana when she was 10 and a half was nothing. The gomer b'lashem kedushin. Therefore, when he continues to live with her, once she becomes the gedalah, he has in mind to be kind to her at that point, and therefore, at that point, she becomes his full wife to the point that she could do yibum.
When she becomes a gedala.
Right. And therefore, no, the other opinion holds that person doesn't know that, and even though the next 5 years he's living with her, right? Nevertheless, he's bailer on the condition. He never has deal with her on the condition to acquire again her kedushin because he assumes that the kedushin worked when she was 10 and a half, and therefore, in such a case, you got to go ahead. And he was never mekadesh or midaraisa, and therefore you got to only do chalitza and not yibum. And Itmar Nami Amar Rav Acha Bar Yaakov Amar Rav Yechran Hamakadesh Al Tnai Uboil Divrei Hakol Ein Tzrich Lemen Aget. So Brisa and so we taught right that similar to that which Abai taught that it was Mekadesh Al Tnai because she has no nadarim, she has nadarim, and then he's boiler. Everyone agrees that she does not need to get because the kedusha was not chal because there was a condition and that was fulfilled. Rav Acha Bered Rav Ika Bar Achte. So Rav Acha Bar, the son of Rav Ika, who was Bar Achte, right? He was, I guess, his nephew, right? The son of his sister. Chalitza Mutas Ksher. So it says the Chalitza Mutas, right? One that was done, but Betos was done mistakenly, right? Is Kshera. Go ahead and do chalitza. Have her, have her remove the shoe. Have her go ahead and spit, and now you're going to be married to him. That's how you do marriage, right? Or that's how they tell him, right? Have her remove your shoe, spit towards you, say the psukim, and that's how you go ahead and marry, right? The guy's not the big ladman, so I'm Rabbi Yechran. And then even that, all of a sudden he does it, even though in his mind he's thinking he's marrying her. Nevertheless, there's Kshera. She has now removed the Zika band. Some Rabbi Yechran, Ani Shaina Beich Niskavin Hu V'lo Niskavin He Beich Niskavin He V'lo Niskavin Hu Chalitza Psula. So I learned whether right that he has kavana or but she doesn't, or she has kavana and he doesn't. It's not a good psila, not a good chalitza. She's kavan shteya until both of them have kavana that this is going to go ahead and release her of the zika. And you say this is a good chalitza. Rather was the chalitza mutas when he says, "Okay, give me 200 zuz." Excuse me, kol sha'amir lo, right? And they tell him, "Okay, we'll give you 200 zuz, or she'll give you 200, whatever it is. You'll get paid to go ahead and do chalitza." And he goes, "Okay, fine." So he does the chalitza. Where's my money? Nobody pays him. He doesn't get paid. Nevertheless, this is sheira. This works. Alma, Kaven Dovin Maisa, Achuli Achli tonight. right? Since he did the Maisa, we say nevertheless the condition, right? When he did it, though Maisa tonight. So Achanami, Kevan the ball, right? Since he was Baal, tonight. Therefore, it's like the condition was, wasn't necessary, right? Since he was Baal or Stam, right? So therefore, we don't care that the kedushin was done al tonight. Over here, he's being Baal, all right, completely. So Amarle Bar Beirav. So Shabri Kamarta says, yeah, you're a yeshiva student. It's you're saying good, right? Very good. Now Michli. However, let's take a look. Called Tanai Mehecha Gamrina. Where do we learn all the halachas of Tanai Tanai Bnei Gad Bnei Ruvei? The condition of Bnei Gad Bnei Ruvei, right? It says over there when they wanted the other land, so they made a condition, right? So Tanai the Abshar the Kume Ayei Shaliach Hihasa. Havi tonight. Only something, a condition that can be done by somebody else, right? As over there by Tanai Gad Reuven was by Moshe, right? So he commanded Yoshua, right? Shari Moshe seen all the Yoshua between Rashi, let's say that was Aretz, right? He told Yoshua to go ahead and do it. So since that tonight could be done by somebody else, so therefore that's something which is deniable, conditionable, right? So you can do it. However, tonight. However, tonight they actually came out the Ashlei Kiyasa, Havi tonight. However, the actually came out the Shliach Kiyasa, but something can't. Loi Havi tonight. Therefore, it's not a good condition. So therefore, by case of Chalitza, right, where you can't have a Shliach do Chalitza for you, right? Mm-hmm. So therefore, you can't just say, okay, you go ahead and have to remove your shoe and then do a Chalitza for me. That doesn't work. Therefore, even though the condition was not met in that case, it's not a conditionable Maisa. As opposed to Kedushin, a person can go ahead and be Mekadesh somebody else. So well, what do you mean? Kedushin, we say I can give money, give her Kesef Kedushin. Well, not all the cases, not Mekadesh Bia, you can't have a Shliach be Mekadesh on for Bia. So awesome. It should be over there, all the Kedushin is the same parsha, since that Kesef Kedushin is able to be done Aydei Acher. So therefore, we say also that all forms of Kedushin, Tanai's work, right? And therefore, the condition of, hey, you don't have Nadarim, and then he marries her afterwards, and it turns out she has Nadarim. It turns out that Tanai is enforceable, and therefore, Rabbi would say that there is no Kedushin in such a case, because that's considered to be Mish Achas, and therefore the condition stands. Yeah.
That a Tanai is only valid if it can be done by a Shaliach.
Right.
Is that true? Is that only in issues, or is that like everything everywhere?
It sounds like everywhere. You have to go in the cases, right? Issues is probably the most difficult place. Other cases with monetary, you can have someone else pay or someone do something. Issues would be, I don't know, the most complicated, right?
Something else.
But I guess person go ahead and take Trumas and Meisers for somebody else, all right? So since that can be done Aydei Acher, so you put it right. I'll give you the Truma on the condition that you pay me, $200. So since that someone else can be perished the Truma on his behalf, fine. But once again, when I was doing the Gemara, I did not anticipate. So oftentimes I anticipate the next, the step of the Gemara, but this was something else, right? Amar Rav Ula Bar Abba Amar Ula Amar Rabbi Elazar Hamakadesh B'Milva Uba. One is Makadesh B'Milva, is a big sugi over there in Kedushin. So over here, Makadesh B'Milva is right. As Rashi goes, there's a whole place over there. I'm just reading for the Rashi. Shemachala Milva Shechayeves Lo. He lent her money, and she has the money with her to be spent, right? So he's saying to her a week later, be Mekadesh me. Okay, you have to give me something which is worth Shavruta. I'm going to forgive the loan that I lent you last week. You don't have to pay me back. So therefore, there's a value of $100 because I lent you $100 last week, and now keep the $100. So Mekadesh b'milva. So over here in the case of Mekadesh b'milva ubal, and then he's bal her, right? He has relations with her afterwards. So now we normally hold the Mekadesh b'milva does not work because he has to give her something, and to remove a lien, to just give up a chov is not considered to be giving her something at the time. So, but he's boiler afterwards. He has relations with her afterwards, or a case of al tanai. American she have no nadarim. It turns out she has nadarim, but then he's boiler afterwards. Upach sharputa. He gives her less sharputa. Ubal, and then he has relations with her afterward. Divrei hakol. Tzricha man get the kedushin works, right? They're married. They're considered to be married, and we don't say a daita at the beginning. So Amar Rav Yosef bar Abba, Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rav Avi. So he says over there, Hamakadesh b'pachas n'shavruta ubal tzricha man get. Says Mekadesh b'pachas n'shavruta, and he's bal tzricha man get. In other words, why? Well, only this one case, not Nova, not the case of Tanai. It doesn't mention that. So but the other cases seems to be in other words, over there, less than a Sheva Pruta, a person makes a mistake, he knows, oh, that didn't work. And that which is being boiler is L'Shem Kedushin, because he knows the first time didn't work. But the other two cases, Tanai, and the case of Mekadesh Milva, maybe the husband thinks it works, and therefore, since he's being boiler, right, on the fact that in his mind he was already married to her, he never had in mind to be Mekadesh her fully this time, and therefore he would not need a get. So Omar Rav Kahana Mishmei Deula Hamakadesh Al Tanai Ubal Tzricha Men get. Right? So he says that one's Mekadesh Al Tanai, and then he's boil her. Tzricha Men get. So Zeh Hayamais V'Lo Yakoyach V'Chamim Lo Yitzia V'Lo Get. Right? So and then this occurred. Right? And there was somebody who was Mekadesh Al Tanai, and then he was Konsistam, he was boil her. That it happened. The Chamim didn't able to say, okay, you're a free lady without requiring get, right? Right? To exclude that, which this time so we have a case of when a woman was violated, right? She becomes us her husband, right? In this case, the hilo nispasa. So if she wasn't forced. Right? Now she committed adultery, then she's a surah. Dispasa. But if she was forced, then she is muteris, then she's mutter her husband. V'yesh l'cha acheres. And you have another case, afa pishla nispasa muteris. That even though she wasn't forced, she's mutter, right? She's even though she wasn't forced, right? So she's mutter to remain with her husband. Basis that. Right? When her kedusha was kedusha shafilu b'na murkav aksefa, right? Even if her son was, she was living with somebody, and her child, grew older, right? And they had a child together. Nevertheless, right? So she can go ahead and refuse, right? It doesn't literally mean miyun, right? And then walk away. Now, it's in the case of kedusha tos, right? That even if she was, she thought originally that she was, married to the first guy, it was then al tanai, right? And nevertheless, she's married to the guy. So even if she goes ahead with somebody else, she's not forbidden to him, right? But nevertheless, she is still considered to be mukudeshes to the first man, right? And it's not considered to be that she's usher now to him because it was a suffix, but nevertheless, that she's still considered to be married to the first guy who was done altos, and that would go ahead. And this, in this case, it knows if she had a child, right? Then she would not be either. She had a child from the first guy, then she is not part of the first husband. So this argues with the first case, right? That case. Now, in the case we ruled earlier of Ula Tzrichim and a get. So if, however, according to this Tana, right, Mishum Rishmal, that this case, that even though that it was Kedushitos, she would not need a get from the first guy, even if she had a child with him, doesn't make a difference. She can walk away and said, since the condition was not fulfilled, therefore she was not married to the first guy because they were in a mikudesh. Fine. So it argues with the first case. So it remains as machlokas tanayim, right? Even though she had a kid with him, we don't say, okay, Lamaisa, you're married to the first guy. No, since it was a condition on the original marriage, it's Mekadeh Shel Tanai, Mekadeh Stam, and the husband doesn't know to be kindness her again, Shalol without a Tanai. Therefore, she's not necessarily considered to be married to him, and therefore she would not require a get. Fine. Top line in Ayin Dalet on a base. Time is it? I'll see if we can get to there's two dots on basically an Ayin Hey Amanal. Let's see if we can get through the two dots over there. Fine. Turn it on, buddy. Halacha Eitzel Chacham the Tirua. So the guy marries, right? He marries a woman on condition you have no Tanai. She says, "Sure thing, boss, no Tanai." So she has it. Then she goes to a Chacham. She knows in her mind she has Nadarim, but she doesn't want to divulge it. So she goes to a Chacham, Veitirua, and then he permits her Nadar, whatever Nadar she had in place. Mikudeshes, she's married. Eitzel Roifei. If he marries her on the condition that you have no blemishes, I can only see her face, I can't see anything else. If there's no blemishes, she says, I got no blemishes. Okay, you're married on that condition. She knows she has blemishes. She goes to the doctor, and Verifel's son, he repairs her, he fixes her, he gives her medication, removes the blemish, the mum. Eina mikudeshes. That doesn't work. In the case of the Chacham, if he goes back retroactively, it works. In the case of the Roifei, it doesn't seem to work retroactively, and therefore Eina mikudeshes. So Ma bein Chacham Roifei. Chacham Eiker as another Meikaro. So the Chacham, he's Eiker, the Neder Meikaro. It's like she never had a nether, therefore the Kedushin is Chal. The Roifei ein marape ela mikana lahapa. However, the doctor only fixes now, right? You did have psoriasis, right? But he cured it, and therefore, only from now on, from here, you're cured. But at the time the Kedushin, you had the blemish, and therefore the Kedushin is not Chal. Vatanya Eitza Chacham V'Tirua Eitza Roifei V'Ripei Osa Einam Mikudeshes. So we have a brisa that argues that says no, even in the case of when he's matir her, when she goes to Chacham and is matir her, Einam Mikudeshes, it doesn't work. So we have a stira in so we have a stira in brises. We have a stira in brises. So how do we understand this? So it's a kasha. So Rabbi Lei Kasha. It's not a contradiction. Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Elazar. One is the Shita of Rabbi Meir, and the other is the Shita of Rabbi Elazar. What do you mean? So what's this case? So Rabbi Meir, Adam Reitza Shidizbaze Ish Rabbi Beistin. A guy doesn't care if his wife is Navaz herself to go to Beistin. In other words, he knows, not knows full well, but he knows that if he's Mekadesh her al Tanai, that no Nadar, and she's like, okay, sure. He knows in his mind that if she does have a Neder, she can go to Beis Din, and even though it's sort of embarrassing for her to go to Beis Din, she'll go to Beis Din, she'll clear it up, and it'll be Eiker from day one retroactively, and therefore it'll be Mikudeshes. So he has that in mind. Basically, he's saying on the condition you don't have it in Nadarim, and unspoken, if you do have it in Nadarim, get yourself to Beis Din and have them remove your Nadarim. So he doesn't mind that. And he does not want his wife to be Mvaz herself, and therefore, right, if she has any current Nadarim, right, his mindset is not that if you have Nadarim and I don't know about it, go to Beis Din real quick and have it cleared up retroactively, because I don't want you to do that. That the Kedusha will not be Chal. So Mahi, and where do we see this case? The Tanan, we learn in the Mishnah, Hamaitzias Ishta B'Shem Neder. One who goes ahead and divorces his wife because of a nether. In other words, he thinks that, let's say, okay, I don't mind, she is a nether, that she's a vegan. Turns out he can't handle it, right? She's too annoying, talks about it all day, right? So my, it has nothing to do with eating, right? Just talking. So I might see, right? I might say she's a nether, lo yachzir. Then he cannot go ahead and take her back. Lo yachzir, right? Or mishum shemra. Or because she has a bad reputation, also lo yachzir, cannot go ahead and take her back. Now, really, normally we have a case of b'machzir gushasa, one can go ahead and retake his divorced wife. Over here, basically, we're not going to allow him to remarry her in order that he should be careful the first time not to divorce her. In other words, if he knows that he can't take her back, he maybe won't have divorced her on the fact that she has a shemra, right, a bad name, or a
Or that,
or a neder. Now, let's just look at this one Rashi for 1 second. This is important to the Gemara. We have a few minutes, I think. Yeah, all right, a couple minutes. Yeah. All right. So he said this is Rashi real quick. Then we have to speed up. So it says the Rashi of Lo Yachzir, still in the middle of the skinny lines of Rashi. Says Lo Yachzir. Mefarish ben Maseches Gittin. Trei Tame Ika. There's two reasons in. Ika Lamader Mishum Kikula. Right. One is Mishum Kikula. Shim Ata Mer Yachzir. If he says he's allowed to go ahead and marry back. Shema Telech V'Tinase. So let's say he divorced her. You know, you have a bad reputation. I'm divorcing you. So she's Shema Telech V'Tinase, and she's gonna go ahead and remarry somebody else. She'll marry somebody else, and she'll whatever have kids, whatever. But Nimtza Shemra Sheino Shemra, right? Oh, Neder Nekal Aidei Chacham. It turns out that really she never really had a bad name, or her neder was cleared up,
false.
right? False rumor, or her neder was cleared up. Aidei Chacham. And he says, had I known this, right? I feel nice in La Meya money. If you give me 100 money, I wouldn't have divorced you.
In which case, the
Right?
divorce wasn't.
Right. In this case, say the divorce wasn't good, and therefore, what do you mean? I just married a guy and had a baby with him. What are you talking about, right? So we don't want that to occur, right? Right? If she was so special to you, then you wouldn't be so quick to go ahead and divorce her. Right? Therefore, if he comes now and says, "Hey, how do we know?" We said, "No, we don't believe you anymore." Right? That was one sheet. Another one is that if the woman knows, right, that she's gonna get divorced, it can't be taken back. She'll be more careful not to have another in place, or be perusa, or basically prevent herself from any bad reputation. Fine. So that was the Gemara over there. We need sort of a little bit, background before this case. Now, so the Tanana might say, lo yachzer mishum shemer lo yachzer Rabbi Yehuda Omer kol neder sheyada barabim. So if it's a neder that the Rabbim hold is done in public, lo yachzer. It can't be a lo yachzer, right? Because those in the Dharam something made in public, those cannot be nullified by Beis Din, right? Lo yada Rabbim. But if it was not known to everybody, then yachzer, you can go ahead and take her back. That was Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Meir Omer. So now here's Rabbi Meir who discusses Rabbi Meir Omer. Kol neshtzirich achiras kacham lo yachzer. Rabbi Meir says no, any neder that needs the chacham then lo yachzer. V'she'ein tzirich achiras kacham. But if it's something, right, that he does not need chacham, now is he himself can nullify it, right? There's certain dharma that he can nullify, right? In other words, things that affect him and her, then yachzer, he can take it, then he can take her back, right? Why? Because we'll soon see, because since he couldn't come and say, hey, had I know you would have gone to Beis Din, and I want you to go to Beis Din, right? Because I don't mind if you embarrass yourself, but she didn't need Beis Din because he could have nullified himself. And over there, Rabbi Yezer in there, no. So I guess we can skip the parentheses. No, the only reason why that you need the tzarech of the Beis Din is only because of the case of she'ein tzarech. Otherwise, otherwise she would have been permitted. So now let's explain this mission. It's not my time. The Rabbi Yehuda was raised according to Rabbi Yehuda, who says it depends whether it could be something which is nullified, that was ayis, something that was made in public or not. So my time, the Rabbi Yehuda, the pasuk says, "V'lo hikum b'nei Yisrael." So the pasuk over there, the famous pasuk in Yeshua, that says, "V'lo hikum b'nei Yisrael." I'm just reading from the pasuk. Because kinishpol lahem the sia Ada, right? Because they swore that they wouldn't go ahead and attack them, right? So kinishbo lahem the sia Ada, right? Because the leaders they made it in public, and therefore, since it was made in public, it can't be nullified. It can't be nullified. Therefore, we're not worried that she can go back and you can say, "Had I known it would get nullified, I would never have divorced you," because it can't be nullified, right? The Kama Rabbim, how much is Rabbim? Is Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak Amar Shloisha? He says 3. And where do you see 3? Because there'll be another passage that says Yomim is days is Shnayim, there's 2, and Rabbim additional or many Yomim, many days. The Shloisha is 3, so 3 is considered public. Rav Yitzchak Amar Eda Ksiv. It says Eda, which is Asarabu, which is 10. We know Eda by Yoshua. And now, what's our machlokes? Yes, right? Meir kol neder shetzich hakiras chacham lo yachzer. Rabbi Eliezer, Meir lo yasu lo asu tzarech el bnei tzarech. Right? The only reason why it's awesome to go ahead to remarry in a case of that requires chacham is because the case of edusur. So my commitment. What's the machlokes in Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Elazar? Rabbi Meir sever Adam right says she's fast isha basin. He says he doesn't mind for his wife to go ahead and bear some basin. So therefore, says Rabbi Meir, if a chacham can go ahead and matter it, so therefore, I don't mind. I want her to go there to do it, and therefore I can have the claim of, I would have had I known that he could have gone to basin, I would never have divorced you. Therefore, basically having now suspicions of whether the get was good. So therefore, we say in such a case, lo yachzer. A person does not want his wife to go ahead and go to basin, and therefore, even if she had the ability, he would say it's okay because he would not have divorced her for that reason. He would, once he even should go to basin, he didn't want that. So therefore, he can't say that was he would have not wanted to divorce her because he would never want to go to basin. But nevertheless, it's a gzeir in that case why it's us. And Rav Amar, so Rav says back to the two cases of going on. We said before whether the Steve and the Bryce is of whether a Reife, whether the case of the Chacham is Mikudesh. We say that Mikudashes, right? Whether that works or not retroactively, the case of the Matzering Nether, right? So Rav Amar Hachab Isha Chashuva Askina. We're talking about, right, where she's an Isha Chashuva, where she's a Chashuv person, she has, very good family, good sisters, good relatives, and therefore we say, therefore we say, in this case, the second Bryce says, let me just find the second Bryce, and the other Bryce says, right, she's not Mekudeshes. So Rav she's a Chashuva, and he does Damar, where he says, in other words, he has these conditions, and therefore, even if you go back retroactively, I didn't want it because there's many other fish in the sea. You have a big Chashuv family. I'll marry somebody else without these issues. See, Hachi, if that's the case, safe the diktari about who shalach eitzel chacham yitiru. But if he went to the chacham and he had a matir, right, or eitzel ravid riko, so then or if he says if he doesn't have any of these conditions and he goes to the chacham or he goes to the ravid mekudeshes, so at least they ain't mekudeshes. You say ain't mekudeshes. V'lei mahacha b'adam chashuv askinan. Or we were talking about that she doesn't want to be married because we're talking about adam chashuv. Let her have the same argument the other way. Why is that if it's on him, it's Mikudeshes, but if it's on her, it's Ain't Mikudeshes. Let her have the same argument. There's many fish in the sea, he has many brothers and uncles and fathers. So his answer is no. No, she doesn't care. She just wants to be married and post it on her Instagram. Like Reish Lakish, Tav L'Meisev Tandu L'Meisev Armalo, right? It's better to live, right, as two as one, even if you don't like your husband. It's better to have a husband. And Abai Yomar, right? Abai says the Shumshma Gavra, a woman whose husband, right, is very short. Nevertheless, Korse Bicharasa Ramila, right? She can go ahead and sit her chair amongst the other married women. She can sit at the married woman table. And Rav Papa Omar, the Nafsa Gavra, right? He is very poor and he combs wool. She can go ahead and call him and says, "Oh, honey, come here, bring me something." She still has a husband. Rav Ashi Amar, Tekalsa Gavra, even if he is bad lineage, bad, mamzeres in the family, all that. Nevertheless, right? He will not, be, demanding of her. He will not require much of her. So she's just happy to be married. And what's the reason for this? And Tana, Kulan, Mizanas, Vatolas, what's the reason for this? Why would they rather be alone, right? Actually, be married than even be married to someone's bad? Because they go ahead and have children, and even though they're Mazana with other men, they can claim, "Oh yeah, there was my husband's child." So therefore, it's all basically all a cover up for her to be married. That's the reason why they want to be married. That's what called like Reish Lakish, right? So therefore, in this case, she's they can go ahead and attribute, right, any kids who were basically born out of wedlock to their husbands. All right, we'll stop here. Tomorrow, Mr. Shem, we will continue from the 2 dots.
I always thought it was married.